There we go, she looks a lot different. Yeah. So I've left those two there on just to hold the last piece of that sheet, because that sheet sort of straddles the two. If I took that off, it'd be, you know, rain inside me bloody this side of the veranda, which would be no good. But I'm going to have to undo those two screws and rip the rest of that out when the day comes. Maybe remove that entire sheet and put it back at the end of the day. Of course, I'm going to have to, you know, take those two top bits off, jimmy bar the big pieces off, and rip all the weatherboards out, and then put a few what's-his-names in, battens in, all on the same day. It is ridiculously hot, and there is heat probably going into the window there. So I've got this half-assed old cardigan. This is my uncle's one. I've worn it a few times, and then it was hanging on the clothes rack, drying away, and the kittens decided to be good to play with, and they stressed the friggin' bejesus out of it. So I might try and rig that up somehow over that window. Tie one arm on one side. Don't know what I'm going to do on the other side. Put the ladder there or something and tie it over. And what I might do, I've got the little Milwaukee drill down there. Battery's nearly flat on that one, but I've got another battery inside. And fit in the wide brush thingy and have a go at clearing off any leftover paint just for these top two weatherboards there, and any of these beams there and there. And then give it a bit of a paint, because I've got to paint, and that'll probably do for today. I can't really do much more on that one, because it's, you know, I haven't got the screws. I've already cut that other bit that I was saying about. And yeah, these things, they had a friggin' notch cut out of them way back. I don't like it, they look too weak. So I might get some angle, which is sort of like this shit here. 3.5mm, like 1/8 angle, and stick a bit either sides. That'll come later, but that's something that I'd like to do just to strengthen it, because honestly they don't look strong enough. You know, they're about 4x4, so they should be, but then they cut them back, you know, literally half of them out of the front, if not more than half, which is all right when there was originally a rail that ran along there, but hey, that's not there, and let's face it, they're weaker for it. So, but anyway, I've been pulling a few nails out of the front board here, and yeah, I'll go and try and clean that up a bit to a reasonable amount, and then have a go at painting it. I've got a Prio, which I never really use. It's a cordless sander, very early cordless sander by Bosch, built-in batteries, like a built-in single battery inside of it, and what looks like a nice little charging dock, which is nothing more than a bloody power pack that goes into a power point and a plug. But then they've just got that plug inside this fandangle little thing that you slide your sander into. Anyway, that's fully charged, and I've got pads for that, so I might use that too if I have to. And yeah, have a go giving this a bit of a paint, but I'm going to wait till the temperature drops a little bit, because you know, almost cloudless sky, and it was dripping rain this morning, and then all of a sudden it's stinking hot. You know, I'm looking at the forecast, 20 to 30% chance of rain on different days for 0.4mm, 0.2mm. I go, piss off. You know, so there's a slight, you know, there's a bit of a chance of so little rain it's barely even recordable, you know. So I'm going to be right for the next few days doing all this. There's on my sheets. A lot of these, they might look alright initially, but you stand on one and it sort of goes boom, pops up, and then boom, pops back down, and technically speaking, you know, when you look at them side on, they're actually warped like fucking bananas. So and it's not a bull-nosed veranda, so they shouldn't be that warped, but you see the last one there's a bit warped, and then it goes back flat again. So that one's a rat shit one. But the rest of them I'm probably going to end up keeping, and yeah, I'm going to have to go get I've got a fair few actually. Maybe that's what I should do while it's hot, go and sort through all my 5/16 Tech screws that are used for this. And because I've got a few that are without rubbers, and then I've got a big heap of rubber seals on their own, and yeah. Anyway, I've got to make sure I've got enough of what I need. I've got so many fucking nails that is beyond the joke. And realistically, I'll go and put all this up, you know, with all that, and then that should be right, and the next day I'll have to come back and or even if I get it done that day, although it'd be something you'd have to do as the sun goes down because it'd be bloody hot, is put the flashings back on, and then, you know, go ahead and paint those. I'll probably paint it first and then put the flashings back on, and then, you know, whack the roof sheets on, and then we'll start on that one there. And yeah, try and reuse most of the roof sheets. It's going to be shitstorm with the downpipe in the way here, but, you know, we've got to do what we've got to do, and one side at a time, so if the weather changes, you know, we can sort of gear it all appropriately and give ourselves enough time to, you know, finish painting and doing everything before we go on to the next side. So, still bird netting all over the grapevines. Yeah, and it's an old rubber wall there, an old rock wall. There's a few with no netting. Just go over a bit of a drive, cool down, air conditioner roaring away. It's up around bloody 90 degrees, so I'm going to stand up to show this. Look at the amount of dead trees out there. Shit! If I could write a contract with this guy, you know, you'd be ripping out tens of tons of wood, you know, all on private land. It's amazing the amount of wattle that's collapsed on the side of the road. I mean, the wattle, though, will burn out your damn shade. So it's brilliant wood, brilliantly hot, hotter than most hardwoods, but burns out your chainsaw. You know, and you might have just seen there's an entire friggin' one about more than a foot thick collapsed on the ground. But not only does nobody really want it, you know, government stop you from getting it because it's on government land. It's you go up here and the joint is just littered in dead wood, just littered in it. Yet you can't touch it all, you know. But hey, there are big patches of this privately owned, you know. Oh, that's privately owned. Guy lives in there, he's put his own little golf course thing in his paddock. But when it's privately owned, if you're ripping out native vegetation, and I mean just holus, bolus, the whole lot, that's considered clearing. But I'm talking clearing it back to, you know, bare ground like that, that's clearing. And you need a permit for that, but if you go through and you don't pluck out the whole lot and you just get out all the dead wood, hey, that's not considered clearing. That's just considered a contract between me and a landowner. I don't know if you can hear it, there's a guy in there with a bobcat. That's there was a public area on the other side of the river, and then they sort of got a bit funny about it and put a few rocks up, and next thing they put a fence up, and, you know, somebody bought the property over there and basically decided to lock the public out because it's private property now. For years I walked in through that part and people used to camp on that side and everything. There's little tracks that go in amongst all the blackberries, briar bush, whatever you want to call it. And he's in there probably cleaning out some of that, and there's a massive weeds in the back of there in regards to your briar bushes there, and you got morning glory. Morning glory's made a bloody mess in there. I can't talk much, I've got a bunch myself, but I've killed the majority of my morning glory. And I should, when I get into sorting out my father's box thorn, I'm going to finish off my own morning glory as well. There's only a couple of dregs left. wailing away now. On top of that, they got rid of it all here. There's just a couple of little dregs. The majority of it got out of here. Which I don't know if they're done with a brush cutter or what. How exactly they've done it. There's a big heap there, and they got rid of most of that, but not the part there. Which is good. Cleaning the joint up a little bit. Shit, I was down here once. I found a little baggie, and I picked it up, and on a closer inspection, it looked like it had a white powder in it. It would have been fucking crystal meth or something. I put it back on the ground. Keep walking. Didn't see nothing. Had a good go at some of it there too. It's a bit of old rotted log. It's funny this. Big steep ledge, they have them all collapsed, and then you got all these rotted logs just laying down. There's one there that's probably, so someone's got into it for firewood, cut the end out. There's heaps of them. Always collapse up around here, and then you can see them all as you walk along. There's a part that's like rapids, right deep in here, and you got to go through all this thick shit, and then hammer through, I think it's more briar bush for a while, and then you go through a massive morning glory that goes for, oh shit, more than 120 yards, and then you got a bit more blackberry, and then bang, you're out into all these rocks and all these like little, fast flowing over the rocks sort of thing. And here it's slow. There's another wattle in the water. It's quite a big one actually. It's only been there maybe 2 years or something. It collapsed into the water. You see all there. That was like a shoreline, and people used to sit there with blooming seats and shit like that, and kids would be mucking around out here with the little inner tubes and stuff like that. As I said, arseholes closed it off. By law, they're supposed to give you 22 chain lengths, which I believe is it a chain? No, is it 10 chains? I forget. Anyway, it's something like, it's either side of the river you're supposed to have access to. Oh shit, it's like 80 yards or something either side of the river. By rights, according to the rules of rivers, especially if you've got a boat and you're praying a hole in the bottom of the boat, you're supposed to have access to, I think it's 10 chains, and one chain is equivalent to 22 yards or something like that, either side of the river. So they should actually still have access to that by rights according to the laws of rivers, according to a friend of relatives who was I'm not joking, secretary for the Lands and Titles Department of the state government. No shit, he was secretary to the big dude, to the head guy for many years, and he knew, he's dead now, knew all the laws, but that was one of the laws that stood for many years, that they've got to give you access to 80 to 200 yards of either side of the river is like public land, even if it's actually physically on a private title. And I think that was the case, and that did stand, and then these arseholes fenced it off. So probably technically still stands, but I wouldn't like to try it with today's clueless cops. It's always cooler down those rivers. There's evaporative effect. And the shade. You ever got to live off grid and you get stuck in a really hot place and you don't have anywhere you can go for a long distance that's got air conditioning, try and break out to a river. Especially if your car doesn't have air conditioning. I'm so glad my car's got air conditioning. A lot of these, no, that's not one. There's quite a bunch of them hopping around as I'm talking. And I got a good shot of one in there once. What are they? What's his name? Blue wren, we call them. Supreme blue wren is the proper name for them. And they're lovely little electric blue colour, tiny little thing with about 2 tail feathers on it. These are some other thing. I've seen some before hopping around down there. There's the female one. Alrighty. Well, you might notice a few things cleared out of the way. I went and got these from my father's joint. These funny looking ones are ones my grandfather had. These other ones are ones I got from a thing he's involved in, and they were going to chuck them out, and he said, like shit, I'll take them. So, yeah, there's actually more than I thought. Just as there's more plaster than I thought. Anyway, that's all down on that. Still got to paint that. He mentioned my shonky-ass bloody Bosch Professional miter saw might not have enough blade size to cut it. It's basically 10-inch blade. Is it again? 256mm blade, something like that. 254. That is on it, and when we do the 45-degree angles, 30-degree angles to come down there, we might not have enough length in it. Yeah, I don't trust Bosch Professional that much because I've seen these so-called industrial quality Bosch Professional. There's 3 of them that I've seen shit themselves pretty badly. One of which is that saw. Anyway, I won't go into that. What I will say is, he was going to use my grandfather's saw, which is a tiny one, but it's one of those ones on the like on a shaft, so you can sort of get a bit more width in what you're cutting. When I say it's tiny, it pulls a fair way, but the actual depth of the blade isn't very much, which is not a problem when you're doing planks. But I have a Bosch as well that is one of those ones, a Ryobi, which is one of those ones. Tried to get the blade out of it because it was getting blunt and didn't know that they're all left-hand thread, and she went kabang. And then I realised that the one out of the Bosch saw that I bought to replace it also would fit the Ryobi perfectly. So I went and got a extra Bosch bolt. Bosch is also a pain in the ass in Australia for actually getting you the right fucking parts you ordered. I had enough of a circus with the Prio sander I've got getting the backing plate on that. As you can tell, I'm not really too enthused about Bosch. But anyway, that fits, and I thought I had this in the centre console of my car. I did. I found the other one inside. I thought that was both of them, but it was only the broken one in a bag. And yeah, this was in the centre console of my car, so I'm going to get the Bosch, the Ryobi rather, up and running again. And it hasn't been going for a little while. It's got a lot of sawdust on it, so I might have to clean it up and fire up the generator and give her a spin. And oh geez, I've got a lot of other things to do, but I probably should do a load of washing too, because I'm just about out of underwear again. So yeah. But anyway, I'm bloody glad I found that, because I lost that for months. And because when you go and buy another saw, you just start using the other saw straight away. You don't bother fixing your old one, even after you get the part for it. But it's also a glorious thing that they actually both have the same nut in them, for all intensive purposes. It's left-hand thread, reverse thread, but perfect size and fits in, and perfect depth and everything. So, I also got a brand new blade for it after I got that bolt, and have never obviously put that in. It's got the right size arbor and the right number of teeth and the whole lot. It's almost bang identical to the one that comes on the Ryobi. So I'll get it out here and we'll go grab a spanner and belt it in, and yeah. Alrighty, we got it together. Took a little bit of memory and looking at where the black paint was rubbed off in areas to work out how it was all originally there. I needed to use an arbor too. Gee, they're beautifully sharp. Shit, they're sharp. An arbor being one of these little fandangles. It's like a washer
with little ripples on it, and you go and sit your blade down on a bit of wood, sit your arbor there, and you've got to be careful to sort of try to centre it and then give it a whack with a hammer, and bang, it sits in the middle, and all of a sudden the internal size of your saw can be any one of, well, 4 different sizes. The original size, the one I've used, and that, or that size or that size. And this is why it's set at 30mm original, but then you got a 1 for 1 inch, which would probably be that one, I'd say. 25mm, which might be that one. I mean, 25.4mm is an inch anyway. And 16mm, which is the one I've got on most likely, because it was reasonably hefty size and rather small central shaft coming off the engine for that. Yeah, you're right, no guard. My brother-in-law's got one almost identical. I think it was bought only just after it, or maybe just before. I don't know. It's got a laser. I don't know if he's got the laser or not on his, but it looks almost identical. Same thing with his. The guard, a piece of shit, and you end up tearing it off. Not that bloody Bosch's guard's much better anyway, because this son of a bitch is stupidly designed. What'll happen is, you flick that to release your guard to be able to allow it to come up. You go down, and you get to there, and the bastard has the wheels hit there, and they're supposed to be in line, but after about the first month they aren't in line, and then you're like, you're not quite through. So you've got to sort of, like that, and just about stuff the guard and force it really hard just to get it that last bit to actually cut through, at which point you crack the shit, and you grab hold of the guard and you go, and the damn plastic will jam up against the cast aluminium guard, and then you'll be fine, and then you'll be right. This is not terribly good device, as I was saying. I think it's supposed to be closed. This has got some serious friggin' things that we won't go into, and yeah, but I'll still cut stuff with it. Basically, I might as well tell you, the son of a bitch spindle bent in the bloody thing, and I thought there was an issue with the blade. I thought the blade was blunt, and then I looked at it, and I'm spinning it around, just with my finger, with the thing unplugged, with the thing jammed up like that again. I'm going, shit, this is bent. And I thought, well, it's not blunt, it's bent. I'll just get another blade. I've got another blade, and guess what? Friggin' brand new one's wobbling and shaking as well. Bloody spindle's bent, and it may be something to do with this crack in here. It's shit ass. I've seen a couple of problems happen on my brother-in-law's Bosch Professional nail gun. The wood hot water system, which you've all seen, that's made out of 1/8 of an inch steel, like 3¼ mil, 3.5 mil steel. And I used a hole saw to drill the holes through that to put the heat pipes in, like the flue pipes going through the middle. Almost like a boiler. It's got a number of pipes, to let the heat transfuse into the water. And I didn't even get those entire bloody, 12 holes or something through before I burnt out a Bosch Professional drill, like a power drill that I bought my father, and the bastard was dead before even doing 14 holes, through this thing, and he'd used it only just a little bit, and I used it for this hole saw, and I smelled something burn. I thought, there's no way it could be the drill. I had to finish it off with my bloody DeWalt cordless, which didn't bat an eyelid. Don't bother buying Bosch Professional, because you ain't getting industrial quality, I'll tell you that. And this thing, Shitbox Ryobi, has been through more crap than you could imagine, and its spindle is about as straight as a gun barrel. So there you go. Anyway, I'll kick the generator over and give this a spin, and lo and behold, there's my little spanner. I ended up using a proper 1/2 inch ring spanner on that, and blow the cobwebs out of the bastard, and probably tap the sawdust off it too. And here's what I mean about the... Oh, she's a little bit stiff on it. Rub all that shit off. Yeah. I know with some hydraulic rams on front end loaders and that, you can sand that slightly to fix the issue, but that doesn't matter because probably only, oh well, there we go, shit cleared out of the way. Yeah, the good ones have 2, this one had 1, and that was quite well priced at the time, so, because they were about to bring out the model with 2, so I made a go of it, and I'll tell you what, she's been done so better than the Bosch Compatriot, and cheaper as well. Singing like a bird. Beautiful. Bloody beautiful. Sharp as you could imagine. Oh, there's nothing like getting something running in top-notch condition again. I must have broke that. Yeah. I'm going to adjust that to 30 degrees. And then we'll be right for slicing up all the stuff that needs slicing up. I'll give all this a bit of a... fortunately, I don't have... Well, I've got an air compressor, but it's only 12-volt air compressor, just for pumping up car tyres. So I'll just have to give this a bit of a sweep out, and I find that if you just about tip it upside down, you can also clear out a lot of the sawdust and whatnot. I've got an air compressor, but... You know, I've got a nail gun, but I mean, I use it so rarely that it's sort of, when I do use it, I just go and grab his air compressor, but, yeah, groovy.